Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another video. If you are new to me, welcome. Super excited that you are here. My name is Kelly Jackson. I've been in corporate recruiting and talent acquisition for a very long time, about 3 decades. And so on the channel, we share a lot of career tips and guidance, and we share with each other our experiences. And so that's what this channel is all about for midlife professionals age 50 years or above. Today, we're going to be talking about beating ageism in the interview process. So, some strategies in order to do that. Now, this is going to be coupled with the video that I did that's titled The Top 3 Job Boards for Older Workers 50 Plus. That's one of my number one videos. I think it's up to 50,000 views at this point. I'm going to link it here. It has some job boards on there if that's something you're in search for, whether you're working now or positioning yourself for opportunities. You can check that out here. There is a statistic that states that older females that apply for an administrative assistant position as an applicant, 47% of older females that apply for that role are less likely to get even a call for an interview over younger females. This is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So not only is it our perception, but there's data to back this up that ageism is real, right? And I'm only sharing that because I don't want you to feel as if, because some people will say, and I'm guilty of this as well, like, don't think about it. Just go out and do it. It is a real thing. You should think about it, right? And that's why I'm bringing it up, because if it affects you, and it will at some point, if you're not at a stage in life that you're older, it will affect you at some point. It's affected me as well. So I share that because it's important to think about your mental health and your mental wellness as you age, and if you're in the market or you're thinking about making a career pivot or transition, it will affect you because it's normal, and we're just human. It will affect you. If you're constantly getting pushback or rejections or not able to climb the ladder or get recognized for something, and if it's because of your age, right? That's discrimination, and it does affect you. We would all be lying if we thought differently. Now, I want to share with you 6 different scenarios or case studies of people, and I want you to drop in the comments which one of these resonates the most with you. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that you can see that you're not alone in this, okay? So 6 different case studies. They're not long at all. I want to share these with you. Now, here is scenario number 1. Let me know if this resonates with you. I met with a recruiter this week. After getting through the look of disappointment when she saw how old I am, she told me that many of their requests are for a recent college graduate because they haven't developed bad habits yet. What a slap in the face. I guess checking your phone constantly instead of working is not considered a bad habit. If I am willing to work for entry-level wages, why wouldn't you want my years of experience? I'm sick of hearing older workers haven't kept up with technology. I've been through MS-DOS, the many variations of Windows, WordPerfect, DBase, Access, Word, Excel, and on and on. Each time I have had to learn and adapt. Give me a break. That's Adrian Lake. Let me know if Adrian resonates with you. That's scenario number 1. Number 2, I have taken all dates off of my resume, and I have shortened it to only include my work history after 2000. I am considered by others to be at the very top of my field. I don't have young children, so I don't ever miss work because of sick children. Having lost my job when our clinic was closed, I have spent over a year looking for work. I agree with Deborah below. There is basically nothing you can do to combat age discrimination, and it's rampant. Illegal, but it's definitely out there. And yes, Jerry, the online applications with hiring managers that aren't familiar with the actual work being done is not helpful. This is Barbara. Scenario number 3. In my mid 40s, I think this issue of ageism starts quite early, as far back for me as my late 30s. Getting that interview is almost impossible, which makes me ponder about what to omit in terms of work history and years of service. Disconcerting. But it's good to have a community to share best practices and experiences. That is Giovanna. Scenario number 4. I've been a bridesmaid 4 times in the last 3 months of job searching and interviews through all of these online sites. I don't look a day over 43. I'm almost 51. I'm smart, assertive, good in a room, adaptable, sense of humor. I could go on. But I feel like today's employers think it's normal to expect 50 plus hours a week, low pay, and employees who are desperate, hungry like they're just out of college. If you're at all laid back, confident, relaxed, employers are turned off. Everybody wants a workhorse, but with no hay as a reward. I remember my first job at a big law firm in LA. I had my review, asked for a small raise, and the COO, who was a woman, by the way, looked at me and said, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't get the best person for the least amount. Do you want to keep your job or not? 25 years later, I feel like nothing has changed. It sucks because I'm statistically slated to live another 30 years. I'm not going to sit around, get lazy, and encourage Alzheimer's to set in. I plan on working for another 15 to 20 years, but where? That's Lori. Scenario number 5. This is an issue I've been reading more and more about every day from all over the world. I think most of us over 50 understand the necessity of keeping up with the latest trends, technology, etc. After all, we were using the first version of Windows and had to continually update our skills to keep up with the multiple versions that were to follow. And that's only one small example. There's so many. Think about all your work experiences. No matter how insignificant you think they are, incorporate all those learnings in a resume. Trying to prove age discrimination from a legal perspective is virtually impossible unless a hiring person blurts it out, you're too old. And because of that, we're not hiring you. Every article I read says the same thing. That's because there is no real solution to the problem. The only way out of it is to keep looking for that job or start a business. After all that knowledge has to be worth something to someone, and network your butt off. That's Lois. Here's the last scenario. I never thought I was going to be in this situation, having to deal with age discrimination. I was let go after 8 hard working years. The company personnel was restructured, and I was the oldest, highest paid in my department. They did not consider the fact that I was the hardest worker there. I beat any 20-year-old when it comes to stamina. I have been through so many interviews that when they see me, I notice the look on their faces as, oh, she's older. Even though I don't look 53. I'm beginning to doubt my skills and wonder if I chose the wrong career. I'm a technical designer in the fashion industry and there's a lot of competition. So I'm thinking of reinventing myself. So I will try to start something on my own and work my butt off networking. That was Dari. Now, did you see yourself in any of those scenarios? If so, leave me a comment and drop which number resonated with you. Now, we have just set the tone that there is a reality in ageism. So for anyone thinking that there isn't, there is. Let's go on to point number 2. Here's where we start to turn and flip the switch. I want you to turn your age into an asset. And if I were taking notes, that's what I would write down. Turn my age into an asset. Here's how you're going to do that. There are companies that are realizing now that during this economic climate, we've seen a lot of volatility, we've seen a lot of things happening. They need people that they can trust that can do the job. They need people that have been through the ups and downs of businesses already. When you just got out of school, you haven't experienced 3 different leaderships at one time in one company before. You haven't experienced reorganization, right sizing, restructuring, all the REs. When you're our age, we've been through all of that. Nothing really phases us, right? We're loyal to a fault because of the era that we were brought up in, and we do our work at a very high level. Companies are starting to realize that. Again, we're turning our age into an asset. So how do you display that, right? How do you let employers know the value of the experience that you have, right? This is something that we want to talk about as well. So there's been several companies that I have cited in another video. I told you about this at the top of this. Click here. You can go and check out those companies that are older worker friendly, specifically for those that are older, right? Check that video out. So when you start thinking, shifting your mind, turning your age into an asset, that's the first thing you want to think about. You want to think about everything that you've been through when it comes to your work experience and career history. Start to think about that. All the mergers and acquisitions you've been through, all the leadership changes, all the restructuring, the right sizing. These are the things that you want to showcase, and these are the things you want to highlight. Turn your age into an asset. That's number two. Point number three, we're going to talk about is preparing for that interview, right? You want to focus on one, getting that interview. In order to get that interview, you have to have the documents available, right, to present to a decision maker, a stakeholder, a hiring manager, a resume. At the top of this, we talked about perception being a reality for a reason. If they've never met you, a recruiter, a hiring manager, right? Even if you're currently working and you want to go for an internal role to a new business unit, maybe it's in another location, maybe it's across, the globe somewhere, or maybe even right down the hall, but they don't know anything about you. What are you going to send them? Your resume, right? What are they going to do to search you out? They're going to go to your LinkedIn profile. That is something you have to keep updated. It has to be relevant and it has to be modernized. Now, if you haven't touched it, that's a sign of the reality they're going to have about you, how you take care of your professional documents. More importantly, how you feel about your career. It's that important. The presentation of your skill set, your achievements, your accomplishments, the results, how you've been able to drive those results is all predicated on how you present your career to a stakeholder, to someone that's looking to fill a position that's critical for them. Otherwise, it wouldn't be open. Right? Now, if you haven't taken care of those documents, that is going to be the first impression that they have about you. So the third thing that we want to touch on, and I'm looking at my notes here, is preparing for that interview. And to prepare, the first thing you want to do is tailoring your resume to highlight relevant and recent experience. That's the first thing you want to do. If you need assistance with that, if you can use guidance on a makeover, a resume and LinkedIn cover letter makeover, click my link below in the description. I am kellyjackson.com, and schedule some time with me and we can collaborate together on updating those documents. So the first thing to prepare for that interview is to get those documents first. That's your handshake. That's your business card. That's the first impression they're going to have of you. That's important. That's why I keep talking about it. Let's move on. The second thing under preparing for an interview is for you to emphasize the importance of what you know about their company and their culture. Every company has a culture. Every company has values, core values that they stand upon. I want you to think about it like this. Whenever you go to Italy, I know you've been to Italy, or you go to Mexico, I haven't been. I wish that's one of the places I want to go. They have a language, right? Right? They speak Italian. They speak Spanish. Every company has a language as well. So before you go into that interview, you can write this down, go to the website. I want you to look under the About Us section. They're going to have several paragraphs about the company. And I want you to look for little words, right? Look for little words, and you're going to use those words in your interview. Let me give you an example. At Amazon, they have what's called 13 leadership principles. Everybody that interviews have to know those things back and forth, right? One of the terms or phrases that they use in one of those principles, several of them, is obsessed. They say like customer obsessed. So in your interview, if they ask you a question tell me about yourself, right? I worked at so and so and I was obsessed with. So you're using the phrases that you use. You're saying the same words. You're speaking the same language as that company. When you go to Mexico and you want to get some guacamole, or you want to say hello, or yes, you say sí, right? You're speaking the language, you're using a phrase here and there, and they say, habla español? Un poquito. And they smile, right? Because you know a little bit of their language. Same thing for a company. Same thing, same thing. Speak the language. Go to the About Us section. Look and see little phrases that they use. Amazon uses the word obsessed. If you see one company, it may say, we are very, this one company I know, they end their email signatures with energetically yours, right? They say that on there. All of the leaders have energetically yours. So in the interview, what do you say? I am energetic. I am so and so. Like, you weave it into your conversation. I think you got it, right? So speak the language, learn the culture, learn the values. You can also say in an interview, you can say things like, your values align with my values when it comes to X, Y, and Z. Give two examples. So for instance, let me give you an example. So you can say something like, if they said, well, why do you want to work for us? I appreciate that question. Two reasons. When I was looking at your company culture, I noticed that you all are very focused on diversity. I recognize that when the events happened in 2021, you all were the first to speak about X, Y, and Z. The second reason why is because your values align with my values. When it comes to work life balance and family, you all also have a pet benefit. That's important to me. Those are the reasons why I want to work with you, right? You nail it. You get in there and you nail that thing. You talk about the values and you speak the language, right? That's the two. That's two. Now, the third thing in preparing for an interview is to practice the mock interview. Practice, 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 right? We're not trying to be perfect, right? We're just trying to practice. Practice makes permanent. We're not trying to be perfect. You have to practice. Now, I also did a video. I'm gonna link it here. I can't remember the name of it, but I give you a simulator where you can actually practice with an AI tool. It's by Google, and they'll talk back to you. It'll tell you when you're saying like words like like or things like that. But if you continue to practice, you'll learn how to speak more succinctly without saying those words like and like, right? You'll flow on that thing, but you have to practice. So practice with a friend, jump into the Discord, right? We have a secret society. If you didn't know, I'll put the link down, but it does expire in 7 days. So regardless of when you're watching this, hopefully you can get in. It's a bunch of people in there. You can get an accountability partner, and they will practice with you. I'll put that link below. So hopefully you're watching this. I don't know when you're watching it, but hopefully the link is still live when you're watching it. So we got a little secret society for 50 years of age and older. So join in there, grab an accountability partner, and practice. I also link again the simulator that you can use. It's an AI simulator as well. So the second thing, right? We talked about preparing for an interview. I gave you three things. Let's move on. Now, the age-related questions, we're going to talk about that for the interview. So, aren't you overqualified? Right? Some people may ask you that. A recruiter may ask you that. Now, they're not going to say it like that, but they're going to hint towards it. Like, you have a lot of experience. Why do you want to work for us? That's another way of saying, why you want to work for us? You was a director at so and so, and now you want to come for this manager role, right? And so what you want to share with them is value. You don't want to come off as defensive and explain yourself. You don't have to validate yourself to anyone. You want to explain, you want to provide them with value and what you bring to the company, right? And so I'm not a person that gets hung up on titles. I'm looking at the fact that you all are expanding globally. And my previous experience working at the Home Depot, I was able to go into San Francisco as well as the UK and Florida and do XYZ, right? So I'm not defensive. I'm not explaining myself. I'm just sharing with you the value that I'm able to provide, so that because what a recruiter is going to do is type it up and send it to the hiring manager. But you have to get through, that's a gatekeeper. You have to get through us recruiters, right? And share the value. Don't get defensive, because that's really what they're saying, right? So again, we're turning the age into a positive factor. So you're sharing the value with them, not why or explaining yourself, because you don't need to do that. You apply, you know what it was, you know what the title is. This is the reason why I believe I can add value, and also that it will benefit me, because everybody's in it for something. So don't try not to say what's your reason as well. Everybody's in it for something, right? This is how you handle those age related questions. I would say don't neglect it or negate the fact that they're asking it, address it head on. Always lead with the value that you bring in the experience. The final thing I'll share is the post interview actions. Always send a thank you email. Again, you want to have a snapshot or summarize why you are the person for the role, for the position, why you're excited about the position, what value you can bring, and what experience you can bring to the role. Ask if there's any follow-up questions that they have. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Right? Connect with them on LinkedIn as well. Either way that it goes, you may have met someone that you can add to your network. Okay. So if I were to recap, we went over 5 points to beat ageism in an interview. So, the reality of ageism, we talked about it's a real thing. We're not going to throw it out the window like it's not real, and we're going to address it head on. And we know perception is reality. We're going to put our best foot forward. We know that's our business card, our resume, and all of that. Number two, we talked about turning our age into an asset. We know that companies are recognizing that experienced and seasoned workers bring a lot to the table when it comes to loyalty, being in volatile environments. And we need to lead with that. We lead with our experiences, how we've been through restructuring and reorganizations and mergers and acquisitions. We put this on our documents, right? We talked about that. We also talked about number three, preparing for the interview. We talked about our business card, our first impression. Again, this is critical. This is how you get to the interview in the first place, is through your professional documents. And again, if you could use assistance with that, I want you to schedule a career chat with me. You can find that career chat in IamKellyJackson.com. You want to update, modernize, optimize that resume so that it's tailored to for a specific audience, whomever you want to give you a call. Update that resume. Don't leave it to chance because you've got a lot of tenure. It's not tenure these days, it's value. It's skills. What do you bring to the table? If your resume is not addressing your achievements, your accomplishments, how you drive outcomes, how you're action oriented, you need to update it with that. Presentation is key at your level, at your age. If you don't care about how it looks, they're not going to care about giving you a call. All right. So we talked about that in preparing for the interview. We talked about tackling age related questions. Aren't you overqualified, or how they get around that, how they ask you about that, right? And then the post interview actions. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with those so that they know that they're not alone, they're not suffering in silence. Again, this could also affect you mentally. We don't want that to happen. Also, drop me a comment. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know your biggest takeaway from the video. And this encourages me and motivates me to want to do more. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. We can all combat ageism, but it's going to take all of us, right? It's going to take us together. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I hope it was beneficial. Make sure to check out the other videos that are aligned to this one, and I'll see you next time.